One down, hopefully many more to go. Ben McCollum nails down another 2025-2026 piece, and it's a returnee, a guy who entered the portal here just days ago. Forward Cooper Koch returns to play for the Black and Gold in 25-26. We'll talk about that news, how impactful that is, not just for this season, but for the foundation of Ben McCollum's Iowa men's basketball program. We'll talk about it in just one moment. A big thank you, though, to Iowa Floor Covering, our sponsor. We keep talking about them. They're great people. Tyler, Brian, and Ryan down in Bondurant. Give them a call for your flooring needs, or if you have a bathroom remodel and you've got a tile shower in the works, give them a call or check out their website. Their number is 515-379-7000. Their website, iowafloorcovering.com, and you can click the link in the description to go right to their DIY flooring page, iowafloorcovering.com/DIY. We appreciate IFC in Bondurant. So the news that broke on this Sunday, Cooper Koch announcing to the world that he will be returning for his sophomore season at Iowa, and it could end up being a redshirt freshman season if he gets a medical waiver from the NCAA. Let's take a look at his announcement via X. Here is the official Cooper Koch announcement earlier today. He says, staying home after speaking with Coach McCollum, I believe his vision, he spelled vision wrong, that's okay, for the Iowa men's basketball team is one that aligns with mine. With that being said, I have decided to withdraw my name from the transfer portal and stay home. Go Hawks, Cooper Koch. We had Cooper on this show when he initially committed out of high school, and how exciting that was, not just for Cooper, for Hawkeye Nation, but for his family. Of course, JR, we all know, really good player for Iowa back during the 90s, during the Gary Close, Tom Davis era. And here's a young man in Cooper who is more highly sought after than JR was back in the 90s as it relates to recruitment. Of course, you can't teach frame and size and length, and his dad had length as well. But Cooper's got a great shot, great stroke, great motion on his three-point jump shot. That's something that stood out when he did play his freshman year. If you forgot, Cooper Koch played first few games of 2024 and then went down and then struggled to ever come back. He did return in that game against Utah up in Sioux Falls, but promptly left that game due to a soft tissue issue and never returned to play minutes for Iowa. Played in a total of 10 games this year, averaged 14 minutes a game, 5 points per game, a pair of boards, and 1 assist. He shot 43% from three. That is notable, and I think that's the biggest thing I take away as it relates to him being able to get back, potentially a fourth year. I don't know how far along his post game is going to be heading into year two, but it's clear Ben McCollum prioritized Cooper Koch. I also know Ben McCollum has prioritized Price Sanford, Josh Dix. I expect Price to return. We've not gotten an official announcement yet from him. He has visited a couple of places, including Nebraska. Josh Dix reportedly will be visiting Creighton here soon, and he's also planning a visit to Indiana. He's already visited Kansas and Illinois. I think that's less likely, but Ben McCollum not giving up there. As it relates to Cooper Koch, with his size, with his frame, with his shot, I said when he committed and even at the beginning of his freshman year that I could see him becoming not Jared Uthoff-esque, but it's hard not to see sort of shades of Jared just because of the length and the size. I think Cooper looks like he could probably fit into that 6'8" frame a bit better than Jared Uthoff ever did. And looking at how JR filled out, I think that's fair to say that if Cooper can get a little bigger, he probably can develop his inside game. But his shot making at the mid-range level and from three will certainly help Iowa even in his redshirt freshman year, potentially. Of course, we don't know that he's going to get that year back, but the NCAA will likely approve. It's likely that they would approve a medical hardship waiver if history is any indicator here. So he should get his 4 years back. I'm curious as to what sort of NIL incentive he got to return, if any. I could see this young man being a superstar in his Iowa future and potentially an all Big Ten caliber of player. So this might be one of the more underrated early wins for Ben McCollum during the Ben McCollum era at Iowa. Of course, Iowa already got Bennett Sturts, but he's coming here for 1 year. He's going to really help them in that 1 year. I have no question about that. I think he's going to play some off guard and some one. I know he's considered a point guard. Ben McCollum's called him a point guard, and he runs the point, but I think he can work at both places depending on what Josh Dix does. That will influence that to some extent. But I also think Cooper, for the future, is the foundational piece. And he did have some interest from some high major programs once he entered the portal. There were some mid-major programs that made an effort with Cooper Koch. Ole Miss also reportedly reached out. St. Louis one of those mid-major programs, really solid basketball program that showed interest. And who knows the other schools that were interested in Cooper. But I kind of felt like this is probably where we were headed all along, but you never knew. I know J.R. Koch and Cooper were big Fran McCaffrey people. So clearly Ben McCollum left a good early impression on Cooper. And if they could get back Cooper, Price, and Josh Dix, huge. And then you're looking at potentially having a team next year that could vie for the postseason. If they don't get all three of those guys back, then I think he's got, and I'm talking about Ben McCollum, he's got a lot of work to do. But super excited for Cooper Koch and all these guys, any and all that return from the Fran McCaffrey era, holdovers from that era to play for Ben McCollum. I would expect Ben and that staff to be able to work with him and help them become solid defensive players. I don't know how good Cooper is going to end up being on the defensive side of the ball. Honestly, I don't really recall thinking when he came out of high school, man, this guy's going to be an elite defender, but he does have the tools as it relates to length that can help him to be a decent defender. I thought Jared Utoff was pretty good for his lack of girth. He was a pretty skinny kid at Iowa. He actually made up for it, was a good shot blocker, rim protector, etc. So congratulations to the Koch family, and now we'll wait to see what happens. Other guys we expect to return. I do think Price Sanford's going to return. I mentioned that earlier. It'll be interesting to see what Carter Kingsbury does. Does he have an opportunity to come back on scholarship? I mentioned that the other day. He was at the Ben McCollum press conference, and then we're waiting announcements, official announcements from some Drake kids. And we've got a laundry list now of transfer portal kids from other schools that Iowa has reportedly contacted. So I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. But that's it for today. We'll come back with more news, more information tomorrow. But the latest, Cooper Koch returning and becoming a foundational piece for the future under new head coach Ben McCollum. I'm Corey Braddock from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you Monday.